Hello, good evening, everyone. Once again, I keep repeating myself because I see people joining and joining. Once again, my name is Rosalind Abigail Trenate, and I'm a management member of Hospitality Professionals Network Ghana, and we are the organizers of this webinar. We are very happy that this evening you are spending your time with us, and we really don't take it for granted. We appreciate you for just giving us your ears to also avail yourself to come and learn. We all know that we are in the hospitality industry, but it tends to a point where we are kind of stuck. We don't know where to go from one position to the other. If you are a student, you might be questioning yourself, what are even the career opportunities that are out there for me to venture into? You have so many questions to ask, but you don't know what to do or you don't know who to ask. So we felt compelled that this is a very important discussion for us to have. And so we have a lineup of speakers who today are going to share their experience from taking passion to the next level. And so I have the pleasure of having Miss Amanda here, Miss Daphne, who is here, and Miss Daphne, if you could hear me or see me, if you can turn on your video for us to see you, and very soon, Eugene as well will join us over here. I'm going to call them, I have their beautiful profiles here, but it's always nice when they tell you themselves from where they started and where they have been, then we can begin the conversation. And so Miss Amanda, it's good to see you. It's been a very long time, and I'll give you the seat for you to introduce yourself to us. Thank you very much.
Okay, so good evening, everybody, and thank you all for coming. So my name is Amanda Carrie Pratt. So I know I realized that on the invite it said Carrie. My husband is not too happy with me because I left the Pratt out. So please, Amanda Carrie Pratt. Anyway, so basically I did hotel management. I started in 1992, so I've got over 30 years. I was privileged.
Sorry about that. Please go ahead.
Okay, so my story is a little bit peculiar. When I was growing up, I had an aunt that worked at a hotel in Ivory Coast called Hotel Ivoire. And we always used to go over there and visit on holidays and stuff. And I liked the way she looked when she was going to work. I liked the way she was dressed. I liked the way, you know, she was in her suit and everything. I remember she used to say to me, you know, Amanda, this suit is called the power suit. She was in sales, so she was very smart. So when I came back and I finished secondary school, I did say I wanted to go into the industry. So I went to Brighton University. What I did was I did a hotel management institutional course for 3, 4, 5 years. At that time, we were mandatory to do 1 year work experience because that prepares you to know what you want to do in the future. So we did the 1 year experience, and then what happens is you go into every single department and to figure out what exactly you wanted to do when you finish the one experience. So I liked housekeeping when I finished my 1 year. So I stayed in housekeeping. I think I stayed there for too long. At that time, they used to call us the chambermaids. Now it's called room attendants and so on. And I loved it. So I rose from there. So I was a chambermaid, and I went into a floor housekeeper and then a floor supervisor. Then I decided, you know, I wanted to go into admin, the back office and so on. It took me a while because at that time I was told that I didn't have the experience to go into any other department as, you know, as from housekeeping. So I thought, okay, what would I do? So in my head, I was linking how housekeeping can work in the other departments. And I thought, okay, so I've done housekeeping and I know all the rooms inside out. So maybe I should apply to go into reservations because we know exactly what the rooms is all about. So I got the job in reservations. So I worked in reservations for a while. And then I wanted to go into sales. And again, I realized that I was going towards a direction, room division. I had no choice but to go down that route. So then I went into sales and I did reactive sales and then proactive sales. And then I did business development. So that's what, and I've done a bit of events management and so on. But my forte is more of sales, business development, and training. So moving here to Ghana, the whole idea was to obviously do, and Rosa, we've had a conversation, do this, try and help our young ones to navigate themselves in the industry. I mean, we don't really have the hotel school here to start with, you know, to be able to give you that kind of direction. So yeah, so that's me.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I know Miss Amanda is being modest because she's a graduate of the University of Burton in UK. She studied hotel catering and institution management, and she has over 26 years in the industry. So listen, she has some things under her sleeves, but she's being very modest over here. And if you're looking for somebody to really guide you in the industry, trust me, don't come to me, go to people like her and the next person who is coming to speak. Okay, so today I also have here, thank you so much, Miss Daphne Spencer, who also have worked internationally and has joined us. And I'm so excited for her to introduce herself to you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm so grateful to be here. My name is Daphne Spencer. I never changed my name, so I was born Daphne Spencer. My husband was not pleased with me, but yeah, I remain Daphne Spencer today, and I'm proud of it. So my journey started here in Ghana. I was born in Ghana. I left after high school to the US. But before I left, I have relatives who were flight attendants. I have relatives who owned tour operations and travel agencies. And so I found myself in there hanging out with them. I'm a very curious person. So I find myself going to their offices, looking at their computer screens, like, what are you doing? What is this and that? So I've been very curious my whole journey. That led me into becoming SABRE certified when I first started college. However, I didn't go the travel agent route. I ended up trying to become a nurse because I fancied the travel nurse type situation because I love travel. And I thought working in a hospital or being a nurse is something noble to do. But I found out very quickly that nursing wasn't for me. When we did human anatomy and they brought the cadavers in the room and you have to flip those muscles to try to figure out what's beneath it, it just wasn't for me. That was the day I walked out of class and said, I needed something different. So after talking to my student counselor, they suggested and recommended hospitality for me. And I, again, got very excited because although I knew that you could have a career in the industry, I didn't know that, you know, there's formal education where you get a degree in that field and develop from there. So I went from wanting to work in a hospital to hospitality. So there's still some type of connection there, okay? I didn't quit completely. Anyway, while I was in school, my second year, Walt Disney World came by recruiting for interns. I thought, oh my goodness, this is an opportunity for me to uncover whether or not this really is a route that I wanted to go and how far I wanted to go in the hospitality industry. So I jumped on the opportunity to go be an intern. For $6.50, I jumped in there and I was very excited for that journey. So I left Columbus, Ohio, where I lived at that time, flew down to Florida, lived at Disney apartments and just worked for Disney for about 6 months, had the opportunity to extend. However, family matters. My mom had a health issue that made me decide consciously as the oldest child to come back home to Columbus, Ohio to support the family. So I did not extend at Disney, although I would have loved to have stayed there and had a long journey with them because there's so many things you could do. So while at Disney, I had the opportunity to move around a little bit, but I spent most of my time in the food and beverage arena. So I was a server, I bussed tables, I made French fries. I wore big traditional or historic American garments. were pretty heavy for the state of Florida. You know, it's very hot. So it's hard to like spend 10, 12 hours in those garments and your stockings and everything. But one thing I loved about my experience there at Disney was no matter what kind of day you were having, you knew you were there to create magic for your guests. And that's exactly what I did. Whether it was hurricane season or 101 degrees temperature and I'm sweating everywhere, I still put a smile on every guest's face because it was what I committed myself to do. I've made long life friends since then. I went to Disney in 2004. So right after that, I came back to school. I graduated and I started working in hotels. As a front desk agent, I started my journey with Hyatt. So Hyatt as a front desk agent, I wanted to continue on to, you know, get my degree and go to the Hyatt Corporate Management Program in San Diego. Well, that didn't quite play out the way I wanted it to because I had an opportunity to become a front office supervisor at a Westin next door. So Hyatt, I left as a supervisor over reservations and the operators and front desk. And then I went into guest service as a supervisor and at the Westin where I was, which my role oversaw the Service Express, which included F&B and front desk. So that gave me a little bit more to work with. Now, my journey has not been, you know, straightforward. It hasn't been linear. I've had to move about, sometimes backwards to go forward, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. So after the Westin, I went to Hilton in 2007, and I've been on and off with Hilton up until COVID. Now, the journey did not, pardon me, the journey, there's a door squeaking over here, sorry about that. So the journey did not, you know, it didn't play out the way I had hoped it will for me, because in 2008, anybody who remembers knows that there was a recession, right? Similar, I wouldn't say similar to COVID because it was nothing like COVID right now. It was a little bit shorter lived and the industry did a lot better than it has been with COVID. So in 2008, when everything went south, I was part of the folks who got laid off. At that time, I was an assistant general manager. I was probably 26 or 27 at the moment at that Hilton property where I worked. My goal was to become a general manager by age 30. I will tell you, I did accomplish that, and that made me very happy. So as an assistant general manager, being laid off, I felt as though my dream of becoming a GM had been derailed. However, I did not lose hope, right? Those months when I was home filing for unemployment and looking for a job, it seemed like it wasn't going to happen for me, but I knew that it would eventually happen. So that said, 2 or 3 months into my unemployment, I had the opportunity to work for Microsystems Inc. I don't know if anybody is familiar with Opera and Micros. Anyway, I became a systems specialist where I started installing hotel software systems, setting up the network, interfacing, configuration, training, tech support from beginning to end. And that was an opportunity that in the beginning I had no idea that it even existed, right? So for me, going from unemployed as an assistant general manager, wanting to be a general manager and being unemployed, and now getting a job in the tech part of the hotel industry was pretty exciting for me. I did that for about 3.5 years. And then I had to put my bags away because I was pregnant with my son. But that opportunity gave me the ability to travel North America and install in more than 40 plus hotels and touched so many lives across North America and in some cases Canada. Sorry, there's a fly over here. So tech side, I had to put that aside when I was expecting my son because I wasn't fit to travel anymore. That said, I had to reconsider what's next for my career. And so after having children, well, before I had my son, I became a general manager. I was 29. I became a general manager for a very short period of time with Marriott until my son was born. When my son was born, as a female, developing a career, I had to readjust. I had to think, what's next? So for me, I had to look at operations again. That was the quickest thing I could go back into. However, it didn't fit the family life balance. And so I decided to go into sales and marketing. And I've done sales and marketing since 2012 up until 2020 when COVID happened. So there you have it. It's a long list of things that I've done, but it's been quite exciting.
Woohoo! Oh my goodness. Two of you have taken us on a journey, and I am hoping our people are listening. If you look at the trend both of them started, I mean, they didn't start in who? They were general managers or even supervisors of various departments, but they had to start from the bottom. And that's the kind of question, like, I've had students post to me all the time, like, well, Rosalie, I don't want to go and be a room attendant. I want to be a supervisor, or I want to be an assistant manager. And I'm like, well, this industry is like you climbing the ladder. You can't start from step 10 and come to step 1. That's not how it works. You get to start from the bottom and build it upon. But I want to ask you these questions, that before you even consider this, did you even know what kind of opportunities we had in the hospitality industry when you were even studying? And Amanda, you can go.
For me, I had 2 people in the family. That's my aunt from Ivory Coast, and then another one that was then the director for outside catering for Ghana Airways, and she's still living actually. Those 2 with my aunt told my dad, you know what, let her go and do that. It's something new that has come up. But when I was going, I didn't know what the opportunities were. I didn't know what I was doing. But all I knew was my father said, when you come back, he's an architect. So he said, when you come back, I'll build you a hotel. At least you can start with that. Obviously, it didn't, I went there and I stayed there and I was there for about 30 years. That didn't happen. But I didn't know what was ahead of me. All I knew was there's something called hotel management and go and do it. That was like 17. When I went to Brighton, we were only 3. I remember we were only 3 colored people, the whole of Brighton then. So it was like, whoa, everything was just like, So that's how, and then I figured it out myself, because once you're in it, you do the education and everything else, and then you go out and do your work experience for the year. You have at least a year to know what department you wanted to be in. And I knew for a fact that I didn't want to go in the kitchen because I was so frightened of what I saw, and it was like serious industrial kitchen. I wasn't ready to be, have knives and things waved at me and all of that shenanigans. No, I thought, no, that really, because what we also did was part of the class, half of the class would go, we had a restaurant now in the school. So half the class would do the ordering and everything, and half the class would be in the kitchen. So we rotated it in that way. I wasn't going to do that. So I had to find out quick where I really wanted to place myself. And so I had to grow within that space myself.
Okay, so when you went in, you kind of studied your way through, and you saw the different opportunities within the hotel industry and where you want to position yourself. Oftentimes, I mean, we are addressing to, I think majority of us are Ghanaians, and we are addressing it to people in Ghana. I think oftentimes when it comes to students, especially, they don't really even know. And this brings me to the question as to why are they not being taught about what the opportunities are and how to figure it out?
You see, the thing is, the downside of it is, and I don't really, I wouldn't get too much into it, but this with the hospitality school that we have, I mean, I've had a taste of it. I've been around it. But that's a different whole ballgame. The downside is we don't have that hotel school to start it off. So we tend to find that the young ones will go in because it's a job, and that's the easiest in the industry they can get into. But my thing is, when you get into it, it's not about a job anymore. You need to grow. You've seen what it's like. You need to figure out where you want to go. You know, you've got your HR, you've got to teach yourself, because, you know, it's not like it was for me. I actually went to the school, I did this and I did that and I did that. But in this case, I see it more like they get thrown into the deep end because it's for money to start with, you know. So that's where the gap is between when you get in, then what do I do? Because we don't have the basics to know exactly where I'm going. We just go in and then we figure it out.
Right. So then I come to Daphne and ask this question as to Daphne, how would you then find that passion when you just went into rates? Because you have been around and you have met employees. How do you just come in with thinking, okay, I'm just coming to do this for the money? And then how do you find that passion where you develop this as a career?
So many a times, I think we underestimate what our roles are. We become sociologists and psychologists. We have to study human behavior in order to match them with the right things. For me, it was a little easier to detect whether someone was in it just to fill a space in their lives or to find a career. And so my interview processes when I will fill positions were a little rigorous in the sense that I want to know the person and I want to know their personality and if it's a match for the role they're going for. There's been instances where I would hire someone as one thing, but then with time, I would notice that they may thrive somewhere else and ask them to give it a try and see if that makes a difference in, you know, how they engage. And so you have to monitor their level of engagement, you know, and if you do, and you're able to pick up on some characteristics that could work elsewhere, I believe having camaraderie with other department heads, you're able to cross-train and perhaps shift people to the right places so they can thrive. I think also that by doing so, you're extending a level of care to that individual, and you're actually reflecting what they should be seeing in themselves through you and how you perceive them. Because I will tell you myself, when it comes to sales and marketing, before I got into it, I did not care for it at all. I didn't. Even on the technology side, the salespeople sold the technology. I liked being there, setting everything up, training, and getting the hotels ready to go for opening or conversion or whatever. I enjoyed that. But to actually sell, it wasn't something that I saw as a strength until I met a woman that I interviewed with that was able to show me for myself to understand that I had all the capabilities and I had the tools. I just never used it, so I didn't know how far I could go with it. And so my first sales job, actually, I was a director of sales for a mid-scale property. I didn't have any form of support. However, the woman who interviewed me saw that I had had so many experiences and I had sold indirectly because sales is a grassroots effort. I come from a background where everybody played a role in selling. And so when she heard my stories and my journey, she said to me, "You're not new at this. You've done this. You just never had the title." So yeah, this is a small hotel. It's 114 room. How hard can it be? Your budget is about 600,000 a month. You think you can do it? And I said, you know what? I like a challenge. I'm not one that shies away from challenges or risk. And so I was like, you know what? If you think I can do it, I think I can too. Let's see how it goes. And I've done that up until COVID happened. I am a salesperson naturally because of the fact that I come with my authentic self. Once you get to know me, it's easy for you to buy into me and whatever it is that I'm selling. So yeah, passion can be developed if you pair them to the right place or you find the right fit for the individual.
That is so beautiful. Passion can be developed. It is when you have the passion and you are willing to be developed. But we are all in Ghana and we know how poor service is. And sometimes you question the person serving you or attending to you and you're like, are you really here? What's the reason why you are in this position? And it's sad. And so I'm happy we're having this discussion, and hopefully at the end of this webinar, we can all help changing our attitude so that the service environment will be better. One of the hardest questions that I have been hit with is, are you talking about hospitality or hotels, working in hotels? But in Ghana context, they do not pay as well. They do not pay. They do not pay as well. And I find it very hard to bring together rewards and really doing the work. And what you two, I think Amanda have been on the ground for a while and she's been doing some recruitment. So she might be able to contribute to this angle very well. So let's see what Amanda here can say. Amanda.
For I don't know about Daphne, but for me, I mean, what I have seen in different countries that I've worked, it is international. You do not get $1 billion salary. What Daphne said is the passion. If you love what you do, you would work with what you have, and then you work your way up. And then as you know, you see your salary bracket. Some departments will do commission. So like in sales, you know, you sell X amount of the hotel, and then at the end of the year, they give you, I don't know, 2%, 5% of what you sold. So that's a bonus that you get at the end of the year. So do, you know, some of these rewards. I mean, some of the restaurants will do things like gratuity, like tips. That in America, for example, that happens a lot where, you know, there's a percentage on your bill and then, you know, you get that way. But really salary-wise, our industry, unfortunately, and I don't know if Daphne will agree with me, is the lowest paid, if you know, if I should say that. But it's about the passion of what you do and what you like. If you're the customer service person, you know, it's not about the money, it's about the traveling now. And also is the skills that you get that is transferable. So you can work in Ghana, in a restaurant or whatever. If you go into any part of the world, it is the same language, but a different product. So for me, that's what I enjoyed. The traveling around and the little perks, and then, you know, expanding my brain or my mind on how different things work. Customer service and other things are the same language across the world. So, but salary-wise,
Well, you heard it. And I know if you develop yourself and you keep climbing the ladder, you get to a position where the salary becomes great. Because I do know there are some people in Ghana who are earning some good amount of money, depending on the position they are in. So this question ties in very well to the next question I'm coming to ask. And this was asked by Kofi in the chat. He is asking, how can you climb the ladder if you are not well educated in the industry? Daphne, you can help us.
Sure. So I like this question because, you know, you can go as far as you want to go, right? If you truly want it, is how I view it. If you have a curious mind, you're never bored. And so, for example, if you are a front desk agent and your goal is to make X amount of money, today it's a lot easier than maybe when we were coming up. Today, you have access to so much on your phone, so much education. It may not be formal classroom education or sitting to get a degree, but there's so many free courses where you can get certified to improve on skills that you already have. When you invest in your own self, others that you work for will see the efforts that you're putting in for yourself in order to push you up. So let's say you have very minimal education. I always use this example. My grandmother had zero formal education. She worked in the food service industry. She was one of those original people from the Kotoka International Airport where they had to relocate them to University of Ghana campus Bush Canteen. That's where she sold. But you can still make an impact whether or not you have formal education. My point is, she was a savvy businesswoman with no formal education. Whenever she was done for the day, she comes home with buckets of money and cities that had been given from her patrons, her folks that purchased from her. And she'll put the money down on a mat and she'll ask all her grandchildren to help her sort it out. And she'll say, this bit is for the cassava seller, this bit is for the fish seller, this bit is for the meat person. And so with time, she developed a strategy on how to manage her finances so she can measure whether or not she's making profit every day. Now let's talk about impact. Without formal education, you can still make an impact. As a chop bar person, a chop bar operator, right? She sponsored university professors who now are working in states like Texas, who came through her operations, who at some point were having trouble funding their tuition, and she supported them. So we cannot use education as an excuse to not develop ourselves. If you have the willingness and the curiosity to earn any type of knowledge, you're capable. No one was born with everything or all the information pre-installed. You have to feed yourself with the right information so that when the opportunity comes, they say, what, preparation meet an opportunity will what, take you there. So I would say no matter how low of a level of education you have, there is still information at your fingertips that you can use to your benefit. Take advantage of that, make no excuses. People will see your effort and they'll give you a chance.
People will see your efforts and they will give you the chance. And we have a very important one that's kind of follow closely to this. He is asking, and this one is from, he's asking, what if you are not getting the promotion after doing several leadership courses and you are not just getting the opportunities from your leaders?
I would say that, first of all, you have to know how to measure your growth, right? So I don't know if they do perform evaluations here, but for me, in my entire career, I've always been one who is excited about when the time comes to get evaluated or get an appraisal, right? Because I know the efforts I'm putting into my work and I'm keeping track of every guest comments that's positive, right? Every letter, every thank you note, right? As a salesperson, I'm tracking my numbers. I'm tracking whether or not I'm hitting those goals. Well, if my goals are $8 million per year, I need to track every day's efforts to lead me to it, right? So that when the time comes and you're sitting in front of the person who's going to give you that promotion, they've already seen that you are taking notice of your own performances, you're measuring your advancements, you are keeping track of your growth. And if they contradict what you have the ability to say, on day such and such, I did X, Y, and Z, and this is what came out of it. And I think that that justifies you looking into the possibility of promoting me because I've done the work. I've had to do this so many times, negotiating my income. That's something that's daunting. A lot of people don't want to do that. But you know what? You have to know what you want because nobody's going to throw that at you. And you have to fight for it. You do. You have to fight for it. So come with the book, come with the journal, showing that I did the work. I did the work. So pay me what you owe me.
I love that so much. Like, I am somebody who will tell you what my worth is. If you can afford me, great. If you can't afford me, bye-bye. And I feel like that's a very uncomfortable conversation to have. And a lot of people, I know my sisters and brothers, it's hard for us to stand in front of an HR and even tell them that, listen, I'm worth this. But I feel you should know your worth. And the question he asked was, if I have taken many courses, leadership courses, yes, you can take leadership courses, but if you are not putting in the actual action, which is the work, then that will not warrant you to be promoted. So put in the work and then now go negotiate your way out. Amanda, I don't know if you have something to ask before I go to introduce our male guest who is here among us.
No, it's, I totally agree with what yourself and Daphne was saying, that you can have all the paperwork to say that you're the greatest, but if you're not showing it to your immediate bosses or your superiors, or if you're not speaking up for yourself, it will take a little bit longer for them to actually say, okay, X, Y, Z, you know, this, you've done this and you've done that. So like Daphne's saying, you've got to hold the bull by its horn and say, listen, I'm evaluating myself. So when you go to your appraisals, you know, you have your book versus what they have. I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this. And it's a conversation that you have to have with your superiors, and then, you know, take you from there. But then don't lose hope. Still keep going, because that's how you grow.
Excellent. Don't lose hope. Keep growing. And that is how, I mean, you gather all the knowledge and then you bring it on board. We have here with us Eugene Vigil, and I know Eugene. I've worked in the same property with him before, and so I know where he kind of, where I met him and where he is at today. And somebody, I'm glad Eugene came, because somebody may say, okay, you brought in these two beautiful women who started their prime career in abroad, and you are telling us to. So I want Eugene to also share a little bit about himself, who he is, what he has done so far, and how he has managed to be from, I think when I met you were a supervisor also, to be from supervisory to an F&B manager, and now to be an expert in the field of food and beverage.
I'm sorry I'm late. It's not the usual me. I usually try to be on time. I'm so sorry, and I hope my apologies are accepted. Okay, so thank you very much for having me. I mean, I've seen Daffy and my other co-panelists, and I'm very excited to be part, and so sorry. So like Rosa Riley said, my name is Eugene Vigil. I have an interesting career path where I started hospitality right after a background of being an architect. I was supposed to be an architect according to my dad, but upon starting Labadi Beach Hotel, or upon getting into Labadi Beach Hotel, which was then a very big deal in 2004, to even be a casual there is difficult. I remember those interviews we had back then, even before we were selected to be casual staff. It wasn't easy, yeah. So I started hotel as a casual staff back then in 2004. And then after joining, I realized, okay, this is what I want to do. I just developed or fell in love with hotel or the hospitality industry. And then I felt like, no, this is what I want to do. I no longer want to do, or no longer want to become an architect, but I want to become a full-time hotelier. Then I didn't even know who a hotelier was, but thanks to my former GM, Adrian Landry, wherever he is, anytime I get the opportunity to talk to him, I show so much appreciation, and then I'm very glad he was able to groom me back then, and then becoming who I am today. And I know he's glad wherever he is. Yeah. So I have moved. I've worked with a lot of people, a lot of experts. I have learned. I've done some certification. Yeah, I heard somebody talking about education.
Eugene, if you can hear me, you are muted yourself.
I apologize. I got booted out. I'm back in. Sorry about that.
Eugene, you got muted. I think you muted yourself. So if you can bring back what you were saying.
Yeah. So I don't have a degree in hospitality, but I have.
I think we're having some technical challenge at Eugene's end. I know he's not the one muting himself, but I keep muting him. So I do apologize on whatever is going on. But Eugene, if you can unmute yourself and be back, that would be great. If not, whilst Eugene is preparing himself, there was a question somebody sent to me directly here, and this is from Barbara. She's asking, assuming you are a student reading tourism, are we supposed to only do hospitality courses or what? Barbara, your message is not complete, but I'm sure you're trying to ask if you are a student doing hospitality, what are the opportunities or out there for you? If that's your question, that's great. I don't know if any of you can take it, like if you're a student reading tourism, then how do you even start a career in tourism or hospitality? And if Amanda, you can take that for us, or Daphne.
Okay. See, that's what I learned. Now, hospitality before was on its own. Then you had hospitality, and then you had tourism. They were then two separate things. But currently, I think they've sort of joined them together. So you do a little bit of hospitality, that is hotel, restaurant, spa, and then you do the tourism. But then if you do the tourism with the hospitality, you don't really get the full scope of tourism, because tourism has its own, it's a course on its own. So the question, if I'm getting this the lady right, is she asking if she can if she can do tourism alone or do hospitality alone? Yes, you can. And you can also have a course that you can have them together, but it would be a lot more hospitality than tourism. But if you want to go strictly into tourism, then there is a course for that too.
Beautiful.
I'm not sure if I've answered her question properly.
I think you
have. Can come back again.
Yeah, I think you have. And Barbara, if that didn't address your question, you can rephrase it and send it to us, and we'll be glad to answer you. Yes, I did my bachelor's degree in Ghana at GIMPA, and at the time they combined hospitality and tourism together. But I realized, even though my bachelor's stays BSc hospitality and tourism management, more of what we did was on hospitality, and we did just a little bit of tourism. And so if that's what you can do it separately, which are there are courses on for tourism, and there are courses on for hospitality as well. Somebody asked a question in the chat saying, if you do hospitality, must you work only in hotels? And the answer is no, but I will leave Daphne for her to also share her mind on that one.
So I don't think you only have to work in hotels. There are so many aspects of the industry that you can veer into. So aside from hotels, you have spas, you have restaurants, right? You have recreational centers, you have theme parks. So there are other options that you can look to. Mostly we go into hotels because it also offers you so many options within the hotel spectrum, because you also have accounting, right? You have sales and marketing, you have operations, your revenue management. There's so many aspects of it that you can go into. You don't necessarily only have to work in hotels, if that answers your question.
Absolutely. And Amanda, do you have anything to share on that?
No, it's yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, when it comes to tourism and hospitality, there's so many areas of opportunity, and I will just go through some few. So when it comes to hotel operations, you can work in banquets, conferences, food and beverage, front office, housekeeping, management. You can work in corporate offices. And when we say corporate offices, let's assume a place like Mövenpick or Marriott or Kempinski. They have corporate offices who are doing all the strategies and policies behind the operations of the actual hotels that we are in. And you can work in a place like that. I have seen people who studied hospitality who are working in, say, McKinsey or PwC, and probably working in the department where they do articles and data analytics on the industry performance. So there are so many opportunities. You can be in banking, you can work in an airline, you can work on a cruise ship. So it's enormous. You can still take the same skills that you've been taught in hospitality management and even work in an NGO. So don't limit yourself if hotel is not your thing. Eugene, I see you are back, and if you can hear me, we would love to continue the story you were telling us, because I feel it's going to motivate someone. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'm back again. I'm still working though. So sorry about the break. Yes, like I was saying, so I haven't got like degree, but I have done a lot of professional certification and professional courses here and there. That is keeping me in the industry. Plus, I have also done a lot of apprenticeship, like serving under a lot of people. I have served under a lot of banquet managers, food and beverage managers, and all that. And I think one thing we are always discouraged not to do is to move like jobs. To me, I think it helps. If you ask me, it helps. But if you are moving, you move strategically. Okay? You don't just move because you feel someone is moving, so you also have to move. You move strategically, and you need to know where you are going to, where you are aiming, and what you aspire to become. That has been what has been pushing me so far. I mean, I've basically worked with all the five-star hotels apart from Accra Marriott or Marriott Hotel. Yeah. And then with over 15 years experience in the industry, I can boldly say that I have seen a lot. I have moved around a lot. I have worked with different kinds of people. And yeah, thanks to Brenda and Sylvia, they are also part of my career growth. The industry is quite interesting. Like I tell my people in the technical university, I had the opportunity to do 3 weeks intensive practical or bring what happens on the field or in the hotel to the students in the classroom. So like we have 3 weeks consistent industry or practical attachment. And this is what I tell them. You need to have the passion for what you're doing as a hotel person, else you won't grow. Because you will face all the difficulty that you have to face as a person. And if that passion is not there, you will at one point move out of the industry, because you might feel, oh no, this is not my area. Oh no, this person is trying to bully me. I can't take this. I mean, that passion and love for what you do needs to be there for you to be able to move on. Apart from that, you are not in the right institution or right industry. You need a passion, determination, and then nowadays, I wouldn't say hard work, but you need to work smart to be able to achieve what you want to. Yeah.
So you need passion, you need determination, and you have to change positions and properties and with determination, you can be on top. Somebody is asking this question here, and this is from Max. Max, this question has kind of been addressed already. What is the best way to get into hospitality apart from starting from the bottom? What is the best way to getting on top than starting really from the bottom? And I'm sure Amanda is laughing. She would like to take this.
Sorry, what is the best way to get on top without having to start from the bottom?
Yes.
Okay, if you're on top and you have no idea of what is happening at the bottom, how are you going to, grow in what you're doing? You've got to know your product very well inside out to be able to manage it. So I'm not sure if I haven't got an answer for that, but I would say, when I say bottom, it's relative. I mean, I started from the bottom, even though I had the educational background, because I knew where I wanted to go. In fact, no, I didn't know where I wanted to go. So I had to start from the bottom. Like I said, back in the day, we called the chambermaids. I had to do all of that up until being a business development manager. I had to do everything, because that then tells me where I want to go and how I want to excel. So you've got to start somewhere to be able to get to the top.
Absolutely. And
it's no shortcut, I'm sorry.
No. It's true. I mean,
there's no shortcut.
There's no shortcuts, really.
Yeah.
I have a simple, like, just as you said, if you're on top and you have never been down, how do you know what is happening down? And this is very easy. Imagine if you want to be executive housekeeper, or you want to be a GM, or even a human resource person, and you really haven't, and listen, starting from the bottom can be as minimum as internship and not even a permanent area, but still starting from the bottom. And the good thing is, imagine you being in housekeeping for, let's say, 3 months for an internship. You know how their work is about. And so if you become that GM, then you have compassion and sympathy. And when somebody come and tell you, oh, madam, my waist is paining me, you understand the deep and breadth of their work, and you can empathize with them. But if you've never been there, guess what kind of a manager you will be? So I would say, if you have the opportunity, or your parents have just even built you a hotel to manage, and you don't have the experience, go take on an internship. Go be a waiter, go be a chambermaid, just do shadowing and even get the grips of what these positions are. Daphne, did you have something to add?
Well, I would say that, for the majority of the population, you have to start from the bottom, but then there are some anomalies, of course, and there are some privileged minorities who may not necessarily start from the bottom. I've seen a few, I know a few. However, those people were also humble enough to admit that they didn't know, and were willing and interested in knowing, so they invest their time into knowing the basics of running a business so that they can be successful. So that does happen, a small percentage though.
Very small percentage. And so, as I said, like, if you have money to build your own hotel, like, to be a good leader, you still would want to know what is going on down there so you can be a great leader. Because I think I wouldn't want to use the word you suck, but I don't know what kind of leader you probably will be if you don't know the basics. And we still have some questions. How do you deal with difficult bosses? How do you deal with difficult bosses?
I'll take it.
Okay.
All right. So I've had some of the best lessons from some of the worst bosses. And as much as they thought they were doing me a disservice, it opened up an opportunity for me to learn. You are not going to always encounter positive people who would enhance or help grow your career. However, no matter what situation you find yourself into, look for the lessons, look for the opportunities, look for ways to turn things around in your favor. For example, I had a boss who wasn't quite interested in the actual mundane task of being a general manager. However, he gave me the first opportunity at my manager role officially. And so all of his responsibilities, obviously, as an assistant general manager, young girl, he saw my ambition and he saw it as an opportunity to not do anything and get his pay. So he just dumped on me as much as possible. And I took it with strides. I used that as an opportunity to learn the things he was avoiding. And I used him as a tool, right? Because I had identified what journey I wanted to be on and what I wanted to do for myself in this industry. So him not wanting to do the mundane activities and tasks as a general manager, as an assistant general manager, I stepped right in. I said, I was young, I had the availability, I wasn't too tied up with family at that time. I took it on. There were times where I didn't leave the hotel for days. I took it as if it were mine, and that's the attitude you have to have. I took it as if this were my hotel, how would I run it? So when he stepped aside to collect his paycheck and do nothing, I worked. I worked night and day, and I looked into books and I read. And I stayed on property sometimes 3-4 days and not go home because I just wanted to know. So take those opportunities that may seem as though they're against you and use them for the development of your career. I've had that same general manager ended up putting me in a newspaper at the age of 26 or 27. The first time I was featured as a woman in hospitality, you should know. And I thought, what, you do think of me that way? What? So you never know. You never know.
You never know. You never know. And I'm sure it answers your question, Joyce. You asking how do you deal with management who knows nothing about hospitality industry, yet they refuse to listen. I mean, you can still listen, get something, lessons from them to add to your portfolio of knowledge, but you can do what you know best, like Daphne did, and she ended up putting her in the news, which was fantastic. But this is the point we are. Let's focus on our students a bit. People studying tourism, hospitality, culinary in the vocational school. How do you prepare yourself for the job market, even whilst you are in school? Amanda, you can go with this, and then followed by Eugene and then Daphne.
How do you prepare yourself for the job market? What we tend to do, we need to get our CVs together whilst you're in there. If you have a career office, or if you have some kind of the student's office, there should be somebody there that can guide you through, because the CV is the door halfway through to wherever you're going. Now, an interview, the interview is the door for you to get the job. So if your CV doesn't say a lot, or it's in, and I'll tell you, as simple as formatting, or as simple as spellings, or as simple as fonts. People write in bold. I mean, I'm doing a lot of recruitment now for some companies as we speak, and I've seen loads of CVs, and I can see that a lot of them have what it takes. But when I look at how muddled up the CV is, it tells me about you, unfortunately. So now it's up to me, the employer, to say, do I want to give her a chance and call her in for an interview? If you don't pass that CV mark, it's just by chance that you get an interview. And if you get an interview, you need to prove yourself, because at the end of the day, at the back of my mind as the employer, I've put you in a picture. So I would say that once you're preparing yourself for the job market, these are the little administrative things that you need to do. Learn how to get the right CV in, the right fonts, there's a format for CVs as well. Nowadays, people are doing big fonts and photos, and for me, I go the traditional way. I don't know what it is now, but what I know is what I do. Because again, if you put your photos on the CV, it may not be the right one. Just like you're going to take a passport picture. They tell you, tuck your hair back, don't wear lipstick, do this, do that, do that. It depends on who the person is. But these are the things. Your CV tells a lot about you, I would say. So if you want to get into the job market, first and foremost, the CV. What you want to do. You know exactly where you're going, what you want to do. And then you go for that, apply for that position.
That is so beautiful. And I'm so glad you actually started with a CV. But it will shock you, they tell you because they are in school, they don't have a CV. And I can't think about it. Like, how do you say you don't have a CV? That, oh, because I've never worked, I don't have a CV. But you're a student and your current profession is as a student. So what do you mean that you don't have a CV? So my students here and everybody who is in school and preparing yourself for a career opportunity in the industry, know that yes, it starts with your CV. And as a student, the internet, especially this day, the internet is there. You have to read. Don't tell anybody you do not have a CV for an opportunity, else the train is leaving you. Eugene, do you have any advice or something to share to our students who are preparing themselves to come into the job market?
I have encountered quite a number of them. I have this experience where when I joined Accra City Hotel years back, we needed to do a facelift of the department. So I remember I needed a hostess, and then I had this person from Zenith College that had graduated and needed something to do. So she came over, she was recommended by a friend. So she came over.
She arranged them and sent it. I see they are doing PowerPoint.
My concern with them is, my advice to them is, if you happen to, am I mute? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My advice to them is, when they get the opportunity to be hired, they shouldn't go and be quoting what is not possible. Because this particular person, although had no work experience, was asking for, then in 2016, she was asking for 4,000 cedis. Yes, 4,000 cedis. And then because she was recommended by a friend, I needed to explain things to her. By doing that, I tried telling her that, look, there is no way you could get that 4,000 cedis as a fresher. And more so, she wasn't even looking at being a hostess. She was looking at starting as a supervisor. Yes, that is one problem with them, especially the newly graduated hospitality people. When they come out, they feel immediately, I don't know how they are told in school, but I think they feel immediately they graduate and they come to the job or the field, they need a higher position to start with, or a higher amount of money to start with. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Truly speaking, this lady in question decided she wasn't taking the then 800 Ghana cedis in 2016 for probation, after which I wasn't even supposed to tell her after probation she was going to get an increase, but I did, just to convince her to come, because I felt she could do it. She insisted it is either 4,000 cedis or she won't take the job. So I asked her if she has other plans of getting another job. She said no, she'll just be in the house and look for something. It doesn't work like that. You need to start from somewhere. I started by taking, I think it was 2004. We were taking about, I can't really remember, but it was a tabletop. Then it was tabletop. But they shouldn't just come out and decide what they want to take. They should at least start from somewhere and then build upon what they are starting with. This is what I have to tell them.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you all heard it. You heard what he said. Please avail yourself for opportunities. And when you come in, you have the experience. Why not? But we do also know some of you, even though you're finishing your bachelor's degree, probably have never taken on an internship before. And I'm sure Daphne will have something to add. And then whatever I have, I can add to it. And we will be leaving very soon. Thank you.
So the interesting thing about this is it doesn't just happen in Ghana, it happens mostly everywhere because the educational institutions are also into sales. They have to sell you the program so that it's enticing for you to be part of it. And you get make promises of what you could be earning when you get your degree. At least that was the situation for me. So, you know, part of why I say it's sales is students need funding to go to school in the US. And in order to get the funding, you're looking at what they call the graduate, what you would get when you graduate, assuming everything plays out well for you. So you can't go into the industry with a mindset of, this is what has been put in my mind that I could potentially earn. I will tell you this, I didn't earn what I was told I would earn until over 10 years into the industry. It takes time. It takes time. My first job was minimum wage. I told you $6.50. It takes time to get to six figures. It takes time. You have to allow yourself that time to work, develop yourself, mature in the industry so that you have something tangible and valuable to offer so that your pay matches the value you bring to the company.
You heard it all. Listen, if you're a student, there's so many things you can do. Don't sit down for your institution to even direct you. With some of the hospitality schools, I know, most of the time they don't even have concept labs on campus. So then how are you putting the practical aspect to the theory you are learning? And I would just tell you that avail yourself for internships. When it is not time for your school to even send you on internships or attachments, what are you doing for your holidays? Your holidays, don't spend with your friends going out, go and intern. There are so many properties, there are so many restaurants, there are so many avenues that you can explore. Avail yourself. People are here who are leaders. Pen down their names. Reach out to them. You can even be a PA or assistant on your vacation time to somebody like Amanda, and you will learn a lot of administrative skills. Common emails, because I know some of you also don't know how to send emails. When you are recruiting, you can have somebody send you an email that he has sent to Marriott and forwarded it to Hilton and forwarded it to Kempinski, and you can see all the trend. When you see this, no HR person is going to get back to you. So get serious with yourself. And when you come out from the school, like Eugene was saying, and they look at your practicals, because this industry is practicals. That is, if you want to be in hotels, it's practicals. It's not what you're saying, but it's what you can do. And so if they match your CV, what you have on versus what you can produce, and they are offering you another position, if you don't have options, I would say take it. And you would never know from that position where it is going to take you to. If you have a question and you want to ask yourself, please just raise your hand, or use the bar on the Zoom to raise your hand, and I will call you so that you can also ask your question. We will be stopping very soon, but this series of conversation will continue another time, because we feel this is very important, so that it prepares you if you're a student, and if you are in the industry and you're stuck in one area, it can prepare you as well. Daphne, Amanda, I know a lot of people also are interested in international opportunities. I'm in Ghana, I'm working or I'm studying in Ghana, but I want to say go to Dubai or Rwanda or South Africa or even the US to have an internship or permanent job. What are some of the things I need to be doing to prepare myself for that? And I know your answers are probably going to be just like you have stated before, but if you have more to add to it, that will help us.
I think for me, what I also did was, like Daphne rightly said, you have the internet at your disposal. Go into whatever, if it's Rwanda, hotels in Rwanda, look at the reviews. Some of them have like Marriott and Ramadan, they have internship programs. So go into it and apply for it. When I finished Brighton and I was working, I wanted to, my first international experience, I wanted to work outside of the country to see what it's like, because we did have a lot of American guests, we did have a lot of Egyptian from the Far East and everything. I wanted to understand what this whole craze was about, because they are very demanding. The Americans like their long beds, very huge beds, Daphne. They like their face towels. They like, and in England, we did that, but it wasn't a big deal. So now I wanted to get into their head. So there was this hotel in Alexandria called, it was a very small boutique hotel. And I just, went in and I emailed and I said, I've seen that you offer internship programs and I want to do one of your management training programs. So I was sitting at home one day around 9 o'clock in the evening. I think American time was due in the morning. And then some guy calls me, very rude. Hello, my name is da-da-da, and I've seen your CV on my desk. Who are you and what do you want? And I said, for starters, and this is me, I said, for starters, you've called me at 9 o'clock in the night. I don't know who you are. You haven't even introduced yourself. And yes, I did send a CV to your hotel, but who are you? My name is Peter Greenberg, he said. He was the owner of the hotel. I'm like, oh my, what have I just done? But I'm not saying anybody should do that, but for me, that's my character. And he was very impressed. So the next minute he said to me, I'll get my HR to call you. And his HR did call me. By a month, 2 months, 3 months, I found myself in America doing a management training program in that hotel for 3 years. So you go for it. Go onto the internet, look at it, whatever hotel, the sky's your limit. Just go and check their websites. Look at the company where they have the bottom where it says membership company, affiliates, all of those things. Go in there. A lot of them do have management training programs. Apply. Hell, I mean, what have you got to lose? Just keep going. And then, you get, something would happen. So I think that to get an international experience, just, if you're not scared of travel, you're not scared of being in a different place altogether, I mean, just go for it. Kenya has got wonderful hospitality. Rwanda has as well. Even with Africa alone, there's lots and lots to see. There's lots to see. So don't be afraid. Go into these hotels online, their websites, and look out for these things and just apply. Something will happen.
Yeah, Google is your search engine. Go and apply. Make sure you do have a CV and a passport ready, though.
Oh yes. We need to work on the CV. That's my passion. We need to do that for the youth. We need to work on the CV and the cover letter.
Exactly.
Mind blowing.
Yes, I agree. We have to do that. Daphne, what do you have to say?
So I would say that, Rosa, in the US, at age 15 and a half, you can start working. I worked when I was in college. I had 2 jobs while I was in college. And so not having a CV in college was just not acceptable because, 15 and a half, you're expected to start working on something. Even if you have not very much to put on there, you've had since you were 5 years old, you've had education. You've had some type of life skills. So tell that story about yourself. Summarize it in a way that whoever's looking at it, gets a feel of who you are. Your authentic self has to be reflecting on whatever you're putting on paper. It doesn't have to be long. Give a little bio about who you are so they can have interest in you. As Amanda said, you have to be the one initiating the steps. You have to proactively and actively be looking for those opportunities, because it won't come find you. Very rarely it will come find you, but most of the times you have to go looking for it. You have to go knocking on doors for someone to open for you. And one of the things that people struggle with when it comes to taking chances is the fear of rejection. You will be rejected numerous times in your career. Get used to it. Start early so that you can get used to being rejected. Apply to 1,000 if you may. One might say yes. But if you do nothing at all, that's 1,000 opportunities you've missed to learn, and maybe 1,001 to actually get your foot through that door that leads to a beautiful career on the other side. So don't be afraid of rejection, and don't let that cripple you in not taking chances or taking risk and chasing after opportunities. I've had a chance to speak to and try to get about 3 people into the Hilton program, the Hilton Elevator program. One person only got to the finalist. Now, what saddened me was a couple of them, when they had the opportunity to actually, present themselves, sell themselves to these recruiters, they failed miserably because of either lack of confidence that they wouldn't get in, or self-doubt. I don't understand it. However, I want to say this: be prepared. Knock on doors, but prepare, so that when that door opens, you have something to give, you have something to offer, and not just be stomped by just the thought of being considered and losing out on actually going through with the process and getting where you need to go to. So be bold, take risk, and don't be afraid of rejection. It will happen, it's guaranteed. Get used to the thought of it, and nothing else will stand in your way of success.
Be prepared and show up and put action to it, and you will be successful. We had Elom who raised their hand. Elom, if you're still there and you would like to ask your question, go ahead. And please, let's be mindful of the time. We have a few minutes to go.
Okay, so thank you so much. This has been very insightful, and I'm glad I chanced on it online, and I'm glad I'm part of it. So my question is, I had been in the hospitality industry for 6 years. I did mostly sales and marketing and conference and banqueting. Then I took a long break. I tried another industry, kids and all that. But I now finally realized that the hospitality industry was the only place that didn't feel like work, was the only place that I didn't feel like waking up in the morning and, oh my God, traffic, this, that. So I want to get back in. At the moment, I'm doing my master's in hospitality management, but I've been wondering, so getting back in, how difficult is it going to be? Am I going to start from where I left off? I left off at a supervisory role, not a managerial role. But what I want to know is that reading a lot of books, doing a lot of short courses, and doing my master's at the moment because I have a little bit of time, does that give me the chance to go ahead, or I need to start from where I left off? Thank you.
You're welcome. And I will let any of my panel members to answer that for you.
So I've left the industry and come back, and I have a few things to share with you. Congratulations on having children and pivoting. You've had experience. You've had some experiences that are some skills that are transferable. So tell the story exactly as it is. You've had the foundation, you've had some experiences, you've pivoted, you've learned new skills, you've had the ability to juggle being a parent and having a career. You have so much going for you. It's how you arrange that story where it resonates with someone so they can give you the opportunity. But I don't think you're starting from scratch. You've gained more knowledge since then, so go for it.
Go for it. Elom, I hope that addresses your question to my
Yes,
panel members over here. I mean, we are really against time, but I have a lot of questions directed to me privately on the chats. This conversation would definitely have to continue. I know people have work tomorrow and I don't want to keep us here, but I have to recognize some people. We have Dr. Hagan from Takrade Pole here with us, and she heads the hospitality department. We have someone from UCC. We have people from GIMPA over here. And I would like to also say Sylvia from the HPNG management team is here. Brenda is here as well. And thank you all for putting together this beautiful webinar for all of us. I would like to give a shout out to a very unique person I came across. I got in touch with her just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she's a student in Sunyane. Her name is Francisca. She doesn't know me, I don't know her. She got in touch, and for all of you who received the call from her, she adding you to the WhatsApp group. She was the brain behind it. And this is a student who is ready and showed up, and I just said, can you make calls for me because I'm not in Ghana? And she said, why not? And she called everybody, added them to WhatsApp groups, like almost 70 people she called, personally called. So this is an example of you availing yourself for opportunities. And I'm thinking about the great things I want to do for such a person. And that is how we spot out for talent. So I wanted to say that to her. We have one more question here. I would like us to see, then we can go off if you guys don't mind. Is there an opportunity in the hotel for elderly people? If yes, how do I apply? And Josephine, I don't know if you have an opportunity, like you have industry experience already. If yes, great. But if no, I would like to see what my panel members can contribute to that. And Amanda or Eugene, you can help us on this.
Okay, so I still fall back on your CV. You might be of age or older. I'm not sure if I'm getting it, but I mean, once you can do the job, it's your interview, because you're selling yourself. So I need to understand and to know that you are going to do as per what the hotel or the establishment says versus, you know, your strength. If you can prove to me that you can do what you say you can do, and like Eugene said, don't overdo it, then if you get the job, I mean, there's no limit to age or anything like that. As long as you have the experience. If you don't have the experience, it's not should I say, it's not rocket science. We all learn on the job, but prove to me that you're open to learn. So to the lady or to the gentleman who just said that, look at what you want to do within whatever, in what hotel or restaurant it is, and apply for what you see. But then your CV should be able to take you to that interview, and you should just sell yourself at that interview to get the job.
And you have it. Eugene, do you have something to add to that? You're mute.
Add to that is the passion. I love it when people have passion for what they want to do, and I feel like she's developing that passion, and then now she needs to be able to realize or find out the department she would like to work in, because the department actually determines if he or she will be able to work in the industry or not. Yes.
So it's all about the passion, and I hope we answered your question correctly. I still have I have more than 10 questions, but I can't. let us answer all for you, because then we'll be eating into time. So we will have this session again. This program is brought to you by Hospitality Professionals Network Ghana. If you don't know about us, please, we are the people who organize this, and I shared with you the website details. You can join us. Currently, it's complimentary to join us. Join us and you benefit from such webinars. This evening has been fantastic. I have learned a lot. I don't know about you, but with the comments and feedbacks I'm getting, most people have learned a lot, and people have actually stayed in. I mean, we were 70 and we still have 56 people on the line. So people have stayed in, and I'm sure they have enjoyed. I thank you so much, Amanda, for making time to speak with us, to share your knowledge and insights about the industry and how people can progress. We have to do this again. And so I don't even mind bringing this same set again to dive more into it. So we thank you, we appreciate you, and we love you. And you have to come, because I don't know where you have been, but you have to come.
Pleasure is mine.
Awesome.
Pleasure is mine. I would always come back when you call me.
Awesome. And for Daphne, I don't know, we thank you so much. She is new in Ghana. She's back in Ghana and she's doing awesome training. Last month, she had some sales training put out there and it was for free. When you see such things, please reach out and do it, because these are some of the opportunities. She cannot force you if you don't sign up with it, but you can call her if you need sales training. You can call Amanda if you need sales training, recruitment. She's out there for you. And Eugene is your go-to person when it comes to F&B setup, F&B consulting, anything to do with F&B, you can go to Eugene. Eugene, we thank you so much. And he is the organizer for Hospitality Awards, which is currently ongoing. And if you don't know much about him, I encourage you to read about him. We also have Maggie from Niobe Spa on here. And I would like to say thank you to you as well, Maggie. Naomi, I don't know if you have a question, but we are just about wrapping up. Do you have a question?
Yes, please.
Okay, Josephine. What do you want to ask?
Please, you were like, please, you were like, we have social medias that we can join. So I wanted to know the exact ones that I can join in case of any difficulties I may ask.
Okay. All right. So I will send, with this recording, I'm going to upload it and send a link to all who registered, and I will add contact details and social media links so you can follow us and also join Hospitality Professionals Network. I hope I've answered your question. All
yes,
right.
please. Yes,
all
please.
Right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Naomi, you have a question to ask?
No, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. It's been insightful and lovely having you. And watch out for our next webinars that are coming. You are free to exit the notification group if you like, because I'm going to dissolve it unless you tell me, no, just leave it for another time so we get prompt notification. But if not that, we really say thank you for tonight. And I wish you all the best. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.